Welcome to the Innovative Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Glenn Fitzgerald, and every week we interview aspiring entrepreneurs. Today's guest is Benazeer Daruwalla. She's the founding member and principal partner of CyberMinds Consulting. Benazeer is a technology executive architect and a security professional with experience that stretches across the globe. Her unique background has enabled her to become a trusted senior partner in the cybersecurity domain, bringing business, cyber, and architectural skills together to solve complex business problems in an elegant and agile manner. Welcome, Benazeer. I'm so pleased to have you on the podcast today.
Hello, Glenn. The pleasure is mine. Thank you for having me on your podcast and for a very, very flattering introduction. A big hello to everyone who's tuned in. Just a bit more background, as Glenn mentioned already, I am Benazeer Daruwalla, founding member, principal partner, and investor of CyberMinds Consulting. We are based out of Brooklyn, New York. We are a boutique firm offering unique cyber advisory services to mid-size and large enterprises across industry verticals. And that means we offer services to financial services, biotech, pharma, and healthcare, to name a few.
So tell me, what compelled you to set out building your own startup? You had a lucrative job, a position as a leader in one of the largest technology companies in the high-tech space. That's quite a bold move to go out on your own.
Oh, that's a great question. The managing members of CyberMinds Consulting are passionate IT professionals with decades of experience in driving cybersecurity, technology, and business transformation programs in various capacities across diverse operational contexts, which is very, very important when it comes to offering consulting services. For example, if you look at my own background, I have worked for organizations like IBM and CGI, but I've also worked on the other side of the aisle, where I was a client and a consumer of products and services offered by these entities. So what I'm trying to allude to here is we believe that our corporate experiences and perspectives, coupled with our aggregated industry knowledge and our own patent pending frameworks, gives us a unique opportunity to bring differentiated offerings to the market that solve real-life challenges organizations, especially the CIOs and CISOs teams face every day. I also want to point out that the primary focus of CyberMinds Consulting is to bring business, technology, and cybersecurity leaders and subject matter experts together into a shared corporate dialogue. And we're not here to help you create your cyber strategies from scratch. We are here to revamp and revitalize your cyber plans to ensure that they align and remain relevant to your critical business priorities.
That's interesting. Can you share a little bit more on that topic?
Yeah, sure. So as cyber professionals and technologists, we tend to gravitate towards implementing solutions. That happens to be our sweet spot. And by the way, it is needed, it is required, so don't take me wrong. However, in the light of evolving threat landscape, when higher demands are being placed on cyber investments annually, what we have observed is that in majority of the cases, if not all, organizations face an uphill battle, especially in two key areas that I would like to cite today. The first area is the fact that business leaders are increasingly becoming tech savvy and are openly demanding evidence that shows that firms' defenses are adequate. So it comes down to the cyber teams or the ability of the cyber teams to confidently communicate that the annual cyber spend is actually contributing to the safety and the resiliency of critical business processes and functions in terms and language that could be easily understood, not just by a technical personnel, but also non-technical personnel. So, for example, in the language of risk posture or language of business risk. So that's one key area where some of the challenges arise. The other area is there's kind of a disconnect between cyber technology and the business teams. The businesses often develop their strategies in a vacuum without effective cyber and technology consideration or feedback. Both the CISOs and the CIOs teams are always in a reactionary mode. A good example here would be there was a huge adoption of software as a service-based models a few years ago. And most decisions in the SaaS-based model was made by the business. The cybersecurity was always an afterthought. So that's one great example where businesses are making decisions to optimize operational efficiencies. The other area that comes to my mind is fraud management. Fraud has always been seen as a business function. But with the surging digitization, fraud is now overlapping with cyber functions. That's one good example of where I'm seeing businesses, technology teams, and cyber teams need to come together to create a solid fraud management strategy or framework. The other good example would be data management, right? Now we are seeing overlapping functions between data governance, data security, data privacy that requires business, technology, and the cyber teams to come together and work closely to develop an effective and a successful data management program. So what I'm getting to here is, yes, organizations need a solid cybersecurity strategy. They also need an ability to align their cyber strategies with business architecture. And in doing so, they can identify gaps and improvement areas. And those gaps and improvement areas can be mitigated with right level of controls. And when I'm talking about controls, I'm just not talking about cyber controls. I'm talking about cyber controls. I'm talking about operational or process controls, as well as technology controls. So the key here is to perform an exercise of this alignment for critical business processes and functions. And when we are doing that, you need to keep the business risks and the ability of the business to accept those risks in mind. Because when you do this exercise in this form using a risk-based approach, business risk-based approach, the outcome of the exercise can yield a crisp, prioritized, and a justifiable execution plan. And that's where CyberMinds Consulting can provide assistance on. So what we can help you do is go through this exercise for your critical business processes and functions and help you contextualize your cyber plans. In essence, by infusing business intelligence into your cyber thinking. I know I said a lot in a few minutes here. I do want to repeat, though, that we do not come in to create your cyber strategies. We come in to help you apply a risk-based approach and a reusable framework to ensure that you have all the nuts and bolts in place, or all the nuts and bolts you need to protect what matters the most in a way that can be unconfidently communicated to the business.
Fantastic. So the devil really is in the details. So what's the best way our audience can get in touch with you and find more about CyberMinds Consulting?
Yes, you can find us on our information in the details of this podcast. We are available online at www.cybermindsconsulting.com. So I'm available at Benazeer.Daruwalla@cybermindsconsulting.com. And we also have a toll-free number that you can call in, leave a message, and get back to us in regards to any requests or questions you may have.
Fantastic. Great show, Benazeer, and I can't thank you enough for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Glenn. Appreciate it.